All right, so today learn how to use Final Cut Pro 10 to create a video using footage that has already been captured. So we're just going to learn the basics of how to take video footage and an audio recording, put them all into Final Cut, sync them up, do a bit of a chop suey, cut out the parts you don't want, make a multiple camera version of a video, and even add in titles or a lower third or whatever you like. So you will see on your computers, you have a folder called Andrea Video Materials. And all of these have been compressed down to 480 size, only because just for loading all of this stuff onto you guys' computers, I wanted to make it quick and easy. So when you open up Final Cut Pro, you will usually, I guess you guys probably be the first ones to use this Final Cut because it's going to be brand new on the computers. So you won't really have anything on here. You can see I have some existing projects. But the first thing that you do is you go into File, under New, and you create a new event. So an event is kind of like a book. And in that book, you could have chapters. So this event is going to be called Andrea Piano Video. I'm going to put Gordon version. I'm going to save it in my MacBook. I'm going to set the properties based on the first video clip, use default settings. Most of this stuff you won't really have to do. It's going to create a new project automatically for you in that event. So we click OK. You'll notice that here, right there. So this is my version, and it has created a project for us. So let's give the project a name. We're going to call it Gordon Video Edit. All right. So now we have to find our footage and put it into Final Cut so we can sync it up. So we go under File, we go into Import, Media. You could do Command-I for a shortcut key if you like. And then on our desktop, you got to search for it here. Where is it? Applications. That's so strange. It's on there. Bear with me here. Users. Haha. I have multiple users on this computer. You guys won't have that problem. So we're going to click onto here. And now here is my desktop. I click on my desktop, and on here I have the Andrea video project. And we're looking for the ones that are 480p. So I'm going to grab these. I'm going to select them all. And then here is the audio that we recorded. You can see these microphones here. This is the audio that we recorded. I'm going to select that as well. And there's a couple of things we need to look at here. So most importantly is this box here. You can either copy all of these files to the library. So if you're using an external hard drive and you got to give that drive back, then you can copy it. Or if, like in my case, the files are already on your desktop, which is what it will be for you guys, I would just leave the files in place, and that way we don't have to copy and have all those files twice on your computer. So we go Import, and now you will see that all of your videos are here inside Final Cut. All right, so the next thing that you want to do is you are going to select all of these files, select them all, and then right-click. So make sure that the right-click is enabled on your computer mouse. We're going to right-click, and we're going to synchronize clips. And it's going to give it a name. I'm going to give it an easier name. Andrea synchronize clip 1. And we can see it's going into this event, the one that we just created. We go, okay. And now what Final Cut does is it goes through and it finds where the sound is the same point in each one of these clips, and it automatically syncs it up for you. And because this is 7 different files, you can see that it's taking a little while for it to go through and sync up each of those files. But this is going to save you so much time syncing things, as compared to syncing things up automatically. So now you can see here is our synchronized clip 1. We're going to drag this into the work area. And it just looks like it's one file. So what we have to do is we go in, we right click, and we go open in timeline. And now we can see here's all the clips. It's synced them up. Here is the audio. We can actually see where the audio begins. But you can see this is the longest clip, and then this one, and then this one, and the audio is turned on. But what we want is this should all be good. Now, if we turn the audio down on most of these, let's just turn the audio down. So you can just scroll over this line and you can pull it down. I'm not 100% sure that this worked correctly, but we're about to find out. So now, let's just listen. So I think it's actually okay. So now, if we go through, and let's say we can move the order of these around. Let's grab her hands here. Let's move this one up. Now hold on a second. Put that one out of sync. I'm going to undo that. Maybe the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of the ends. I'll do that one last, so that they all start at the same time. And then if we want to move them around, we can. So here I'm just making them all the same length. You can see that it automatically snaps to grid, except for this one. Snap to grid is right here. You can turn snap to grid on and off. This one should snap to grid too, but it's not. That's okay. We're not going to worry about that one. So now that these are all the same length, we can just move these around at will. There we go. So let's listen now and see if it looks like it's synced up. That one looks pretty good. And you'll notice that whatever is at the top of this work area is the video file that we will see. And so I'm going to check this one here. Let's check this one. Line it up with the others. Yep, looks pretty good. So they won't be perfectly lined up because this performer is actually playing to a recording of herself, and it's really hard to get a bang on, but most of it will be lined up. I usually just check through random spots. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so here is where we go in and we start to cut away all the parts that we don't want. So if we take a look at these shots, this shot here is a full shot. So we're going to take this full shot and we're going to put it at the very bottom. I'm going to stick it here. Whoa. Hold on there, Final Cut. All right. It's not going to let us do that only because what Final Cut does when you are putting multiple files in is it kind of has one master file, and then you see these little attachment points. It attaches everything to those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slice right here. So I'm going to choose the blade tool. This is for slicing. This is for selecting. This is for moving things if you want to move them around in space. This is for trimming. Right now I'm just going to choose blade. And I'm going to cut this, let's say, right there. And now I'm going to go back to select. The fast key is A. So I'm going to just press the letter A. And then it goes back to my select tool. And I'm going to move this one here. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll even drag it to be the exact same length. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to put the full shot on the bottom. You can see here that this is a shot over her shoulder. And we can even see that as we go through, I even zoom in, I move the camera around a little bit. We don't want too much of this. We only want a few shots of this. And same with the shoe shot. There's a shot of her shoes in the pedal, and then there's some shots inside the piano. And then there's a couple of focus pulls here. Okay, so I got some interesting shots. And then this is the close-up shot. It's didn't really move that much. The whole time, it's just on her hands. And then we have this really great shot that's actually through the piano. We don't want too much of this. This is just a style shot. And then we have kind of the, I would call this maybe a medium close-up shot. This is the one that we want to refer to quite a bit as well. So I'm going to stick this down near the bottom. So the ones that we want the most, we're going to put on the bottom. The ones that we want the least, we're going to put on the top. So we want a couple of shots of her foot, but we don't want too much. This is just an interest shot. So I'm going to just randomly make some cuts here. Of course, you guys would spend a lot of time watching the shots, watching all of the different shots, and picking the coolest parts of each shot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that there. I'm going to press B for blade, and I'm going to slice, select A to go back to my select tool. I'm going to get rid of this. Now you can see as I'm dragging that up here in the side, you can see where the image is. So I can kind of watch and see what's happening in my shot. What looks good? Is that going to pull into focus? There, that looks not bad. So now I can just scroll through. Maybe I'm going to go till it goes out of focus there. I'm going to press B for blade, cut, A for select. Get rid of this. What else do we have in here that's cool? That's kind of a neat shot. Some shots of her hand going down the keyboard. So maybe I'll keep that. Oh, but look, the camera moves. That's kind of awkward. Is there a more stable version? Well, for now, let's just B for blade. And I'm going to get rid of the rest of that. Okay, now, this shot here, this is one where if there's no other shots that line up, or if there's an awkward spot. Sometimes you get an awkward spot where you don't really have any shots. That's what I use this for. This is like an emergency shot. But for now, I'm just going to grab a chunk here and maybe a chunk in here. And then I'm going to turf the rest. I'm just going to get rid of it. Press delete. And now, the over-the-shoulder shot. I don't want too many of this because, again, this is just an interest shot. So maybe let's look for when she does something cool. Oh, yeah, this is when she shreds the keys. So I'm going to select B for blade. Grab maybe that much. Now her head's kind of in the way. That's problematic. Okay, let's see. Is there something cool in here? Maybe let's grab a chunk from here to here. And now I'm going to get rid of everything else. Then we go in to the close-up shots. I'm going to maybe take a little piece like this. I'm going to select B for blade. I'm going to maybe come into here. Of course, I'm picking these randomly. You guys would never do this. I'm going to go into here, press B for blade, and go like that. Maybe like this. Cut that there. And maybe I want the very last... I love this shot of her hands coming off the keyboard. So maybe what I'm going to do... Oops, undo. I'm going to keep everything from about here to the end. All right. Now we have the medium close-up. What I usually like to do is I almost always like to start with a full shot. We fade in to a full, we cut in to a little bit closer, we see close-up on her hands, and then we see her feet, and then we come back to here. So I think this shot here is the one that we want the most of. So what I would normally do is keep quite a bit of this and make this the default shot. But maybe after this, we come back in. There's a big chunk of time in here, so maybe what I'm going to do is we'll cut out to the main shot, watch her from here for a while, cut into a close-up, medium close-up, and then into her hands. Okay, so now if we turn snap to grid off, what we can do is we can scroll through really smoothly and see sort of how our project is going to look. We can see the trajectory of how we go from shot to shot and how interesting that is or not interesting. Okay, so you can see, so let's go to the end. We see her hands over her shoulder, a full shot, her hands come off. Maybe right here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put snap to grid back on. I'm going to stop it there. And I'm going to go from her hands coming off to the full shot. So we start with a full shot and we end with a full shot. There's some nice symmetry there. Okay, so let's say that you've actually gone through and watched this and everything syncs up and you like it. What you can do is go in and nudge things a little bit. So we're going to zoom in. You can grab the ending or the beginning of any of these and move them around like this. Okay, and let's say something is just a little tiny bit off. let's say it's too early or it's too late, here is one of the best things that you can do in Final Cut. We're going to select the trim tool. And you'll see that normally the trim tool is for trimming the outsides. But I don't even use it for that. What I use it for is if you scroll over the center, you can see how the cursor changes. And now you can do what's called scrubbing. You can scrub the video forward or backward by a frame or a number of frames. This is backwards 18 frames, backwards 49 frames, forward 51 frames. And you can nudge it until it syncs up. And this is so incredibly useful for music videos, for syncing up. Maybe the performer was a little bit off in a certain spot, but it's a great shot. You can sync it up this way here. So you move it and you let go. But of course, mine's already synced up, so I'm just going to undo, Command Z. All right, so you go through and you nudge away and you get it exactly how you want it. And then what we want to do is add opening and closing titles. And this shot here could be problematic because we're going to fade in. So if you want to fade in, the quick key for that is Command T. And I'm not sure why it's Command T, but it is. So you go Command T, and what it does is it puts a fade in right at the beginning. So now watch what happens when we fade in. Oh no, this is faded out to nothing, but we see this darn shot underneath. Well, that's no problem. What we can do is we select it, we scroll down here, and we just go to the opacity. We make this 0% visible. And now this whole shot here is just a black image. So now we can go in and we can fade up. And like all things in Final Cut, if you select this fade, you can grab it and you can make it longer. I like a really dramatic long fade, especially because this is a really dramatic piece. So now we have... Okay, now what's going on? Something's not right. Somehow we have chopped off some of the piece. So I can just pull things backwards. I can even pull this backwards. I think it's because you can't even see the audio. It's so quiet here. Oh, wow. I chopped off way too much. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. Where does it begin? Ah. All right. So that actually makes quite a big difference. So what I'm going to do now is I could go back and add more of this. So maybe I want to do this. Maybe I want to do this. I'm going to do a little chopperoonie here. Maybe I'll cut back to the close-up, get rid of this part here, and now we go full shot, medium close-up, back to this, a little bit of that, and then bam, to her foot, etc. Okay, so that was a quick thinking on your feet fixeroonie. Now, I have added, let's get rid of this. We've added in our fade, and you can do the same to the end. You can add a fade out. It's the same thing. It's a Command T, and we can make this a little longer. We're going to zoom in. Just grab the end, drag it out. Perfect. Okay, so now if we go back to the beginning, we want to add some titles or a lower third, and here's where you can do a lot of the editing. So this is if you want to add text. This is if you want to add some elements like fancy backgrounds. bubbles, just plain colors. There's different things that you can do with text. I think these are actually transitions. Transitions. Or are these themes? Oh yeah, these are themes actually. Yeah, I don't really use this function because I find using themes almost a little bit too, well, it doesn't really give you a lot of choice. So that's themes. I don't use it. Here's our transitions. So different kinds of fades and whatnot that you can do. And this is if you want to add some music. And, there's a few other things in here that are more advanced, but we're not going to focus on those. Right now, we're just going to go into our text editor. And we're going to grab a lower third. And let's go, say, maybe for something formal. And I'm just going to drag it into the space. And of course, it's completely editable, so I'm going to drag it here. And it shows up. And then what you can do is you can double click on it. And you can either edit the text here, or you can edit the text here. So let's say Andrea shreds the keys. And the song is called Use is Gonna Die, Fool. I don't know. That's obviously not what it's called, but let's just call it that for now. And then you can select anywhere on here, and it puts it in, and it looks amazing. So usually these will fade in. Sometimes they don't fade out. Yeah, this one doesn't. So I'm going to put a fade. And of course, the shortcut for fade is Command T. And now it makes this fade out. So you will see our image fades up. There's our lower third. It fades out. And then our movie starts. Okay? And the same goes for if you didn't want to do a lower third. If you just wanted to put in text, you can. You have all these different choices. Okay? You can just throw stuff in here. At the end, you'd want to do some credits. I like to keep the credits kind of simple. I like the scrolling credits. Or what I'll do, sometimes for credits, if there isn't a ton of information, not enough for scrolling, I will just do basic title. I'll throw it in here. And I'll just put, oops, hold on a second. Here we go. Go into the editing. Music by some person. Maybe a space. Performed by Andrea, the goddess. Filmed by a student. And edited by moi. Okay? And then you can go in. Again, you can make this fade in and fade out. If you select the whole thing and do that, it will do a fade in and a fade out. So the Command T will actually make both sides fade in and fade out. And now you'll see we got a nice, slick looking ending. It fades out. And you'll notice that she turns and looks at the camera. So we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to pull this a little earlier. There we go. Now we don't see her look. I kind of like that the way it is. Perfect. If we want to make this shorter, we can. We can just drag this like that. Or we can drag this one like that. If you grab it right in the middle, right in between these two, you can change the length. If you grab the edges, you can change the length of the fade out. And if you grab this little thing here, you can drag the beginning and make the actual clip longer. Okay? But we don't want them to overlap. I kind of like it like this. And, that's a really, really fast way of doing an edit. Yours, of course, will take longer. And then when you are done, you will go up to File, Share, Master File. You don't want to compress this yet, although all of this footage is at 480p, so maybe what we'll do is we won't make it full resolution because that's crazy. Let's go into settings. Let's go. I don't think we can change the settings here. Let's actually go back and see if we can share it at 480. Let's see. Apple devices is 720. Well, let's save it at that. That's not a big deal. So we save it at 720. We go share, and we call it something. Now why? Usually you get another image. Hold on a second. Share. 720. Where is it going to put this? Normally when you press share, it asks you where you want to put it. Okay, it must be because I'm using that other setting. So let's just go share, master file. Here we go. Next. Now it's going to ask me where I want to put it. We're just going to put it on the desktop. And I usually call this version 1 because I might go back and change it later. You go save. And then if you watch this progress sphere here, it's going to show you I am processing this. I'm 7%, I'm 10%, etc. When it's done, it will actually pull up the video right onto the desktop for you to view it. So that's pretty much everything you need to know to get started in Final Cut Pro. And of course, I will be in class to help you with some of the other fine details. Thank you very much, and good luck with your first edit.